What's something that looked easy but you failed horribly when you tried it? Rapping. I feel like everyone underestimates it until someone dares you to try it and you absolutely fail. I thought I was an awesome rapper, until I recorded myself. I can recite bars, but I can't freestyle worth a damn. Everyone who tries rapping always starts with "my name is underscore." I'm here to say, well, now it ends me every time. I'm the hip-hop-opotamus. My rhymes are bottomless. Painting. It looks so simple, but it hardly ever is. For me, the hardest part is always the creative process. Initially I thought you meant painting as in painting the walls of a room a different color, new coating, and thought you were an idiot. Then I realized you meant painting as in creating art on a canvas and realized I was the idiot. My wife tried to teach me to paint once. 10 minutes later she told me to just stick to stick people. Even painting in different mediums than you're used to is hard. I'm primarily a graphite, watercolor girl, and I failed horribly at oil painting because it's so different to what I'm used to. You can't layer in oil and blending turns everything to mud, and so you don't have the same control you get with watercolor and pencil. I'm working on improving though. And drawing, you think you're going to do this amazing drawing, then you had a mental breakdown cause your drawing looks like a drawing a toddler made. I was legit about to say the exact same thing. Even abstract stuff. I always laugh when I hear people say things like I could do that in regard to more modern paintings. There is often a lot more skill involved than meets the eye. I'd personally pay for their supplies under the condition that the finished product be posted on all their social media so it can be laughed at. Dancing. They make it look so easy and smooth. When your college GF is just whirling and shimmying around and you try to do things, then she's pulling out her phone, calling 911 and saying, "Help, my boyfriend is having a seizure." It took me 3 years of practicing 7 to 10 hours a week before I felt like I was any good. In ways it's harder, but it's also really fun, and a great way to learn to dance is social dancing. Even most small cities and small towns have Latin dance groups, and it's a wonderful atmosphere to learn. The group I dance with has socials open to the public with a free beginner lesson before every social. Also, there are a lot of experienced dancers who are happy to lead beginners, and it's a great way to learn. Also, if Latin dance looks too sensual or hard, you can always square dance or find a swing group. As someone who has tap danced and done hip-hop for pretty much his whole life, I can say for a fact that dancing isn't very easy unless you've done it for a while. Cartwheels. Damn near broke my arm when I tried. Competitive dancer here, dislocated my elbow trying to do an aerial because I've done years of cartwheels and I flip on hoops and silks all the time. An aerial is just a cartwheel with no hands. How hard can it be? Hey, I'm impressed that you tried. I've reached the age where it's like, whoa, that ground looks pretty hard. Coffee? I want to do a cartwheel. But real casual like. Not make a big deal about it. But I know everybody saw it. One stunning, gorgeous cartwheel. I used to be able to. Then 15 plus years later I decided I still could. My inner thigh muscles were a little surprised by my actions there. Creed Bratton can show you the way. Pulling off the perfect cartwheel is my New Year's resolution. As a pianist, I badly overestimated how much of my ability would translate to trying a drum set for the first time. Ironically, it was the opposite for me. I started off on piano, was mediocre at it, but then became really good on the drums. As a drummer, I feel so validated right now. And that's so odd. When we were picking out instruments in elementary school, I wanted to try the drums, but the teacher said that I needed a few years in piano before I could do the drums. Coordination is not your forte. This was me, except switching from tenor sax to alto sax. Small horn go ba ra ra ra, I've been doing guitar for 8 years, and my brother does drums, so sometimes I practice on them, and I find it impossible. Driving a car for the first time, especially if it's stick and you never noticed. Stalling a car multiple times in a parking lot is very humbling. I used to play in a band where I was the youngest and the only one not allowed to drive yet, 18 here. Our roadie taught me how to drive in the middle of the night after gigs. My dad thought I was a natural talent when I was finally allowed to learn this. The first time I went driving, I mixed up the gas and brake pedals and almost drove into the side of our house. I almost rear-ended someone coming to my first stoplight. Yes. Took me a while to learn. I hear some people learn faster than others. The big thing is when you are 16 or 18 years old you have no fear. Now that I am older I am very fearful of driving. Needless to say, quarantine is definitely for me. I wouldn't want to have to go through learning how to drive at 30 or 40 years old. That would be horrible. Please learn at least by the time you are 25. It really does make it much easier. Thankfully I didn't have to learn on stick. My other big tip is to start on a smaller car. You want to learn on that cheap subcompact. Don't start on a huge station wagon or a large truck. It will not be a very pleasant experience. I won't drive anything but a small car these days. Even a modern Honda Accord is too big for me. The good thing is these are the cheapest cars, so I don't waste a lot of money on a vehicle. When getting in a vehicle you have never driven before, you have to test the brakes before you really take off. All of the cars perform differently, and you need to brake a couple times to get the feel of it. There are also different levels of brake wear that affect the way you hit the pedal. So when you have a car with really worn out brakes you will hit the pedal harder, and when you finally get those brakes replaced it will feel very, very different. Pull-ups. I learned very quickly that I have basically zero upper body strength. I felt this. Related, I wanted to improve my upper body strength and looked up one of those 30-day push-up things. Day 1 was like 5 push-ups. Turns out I can't even do one. I just collapsed on the floor when I had barely moved from full up position. I had to start on some other arm strength exercises first. I'm 3 weeks in and still can't do a full proper press up, but I can get down about halfway, and get back up again. Upper body stuff is hard. Yes. And push-ups, how is that simple action so damn hard? Squats. I can't do it. It looks so easy but I have absolutely no balance, so I just fall over every time I try it. Push-ups too. I saw an article about a guy who did 10 push-ups a day for a month. I thought it wouldn't be that hard, so I tried. First day, I managed to do all 10. Second day, my arm hurt the moment I got down for the first push-up, couldn't push myself back up. Needless to say, that was it for my attempt for 10 push-ups a day. I have upper body strength and I still can't do them. It feels like lifting 10 times your body weight. Playing fighter games, like Tekken or Street Fighters. The pros know the special combinations for every character, and there's apparently a technique where they can read their opponent's patterns so they can plan their next move, sort of like chess. Went through extreme amounts of quarters perfecting these techniques in the 90s. Probably the most useless skill I ever learned. I used to rock the house with Johnny Cage on Mortal Kombat 1. I never could master Tekken. Fighting games are all mind games. They're actually extremely complex, but to people who don't play them it looks like button mashing. I feel this. I love the idea of those games, but I can't get the simplest combo. I don't know what it is, but I can never press the buttons at the right time. Press B, then R1. Okay, sounds easy enough. Fail, 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 fail. Why did they never explain how timing works? Do I press R1 right after or wait a bit, or do them nearly at the same time? Muck. Safe to say I was stumped in the Injustice 2 tutorial. Trying online multiplayer for the first time. I remember dominating my friends, family. I used to win 90% of the time, at Halo, Gears of War, and COD on local multiplayer. Then when I finally got Xbox Live, I vividly remember getting stomped by other players for weeks until I adjusted to online. I'm pretty good now, but every now and again I'll versus someone who is on a whole other level and I'll get put in my place again. This is horrifying accurate TBH. I can beat my friends in Mario Kart but can barely get top 10 now. Sometimes your opponent is having a really good day. I used to play Destiny and Overwatch, and then tried to play R6 Siege, and got stomped, still do, with brief moments of awesome. Baking bread. I honestly read Breaking Bad at first and just thought okay. Made challah 3 times during quarantine, but Paul Hollywood's disappointed voice in my mind finally made me call it quits. For me it's baking anything. The first and only time I tried to use an oven I set it on fire. I know, right? I thought it would be easy from the recipes. The next thing, it was too starchy, too sweet, too salty, too damn annoying. Related, cutting the loaf of bread into even slices once it's done. Water skiing. I learned it the hard way. Been smacking my head on the water and holding the rope tightly for my dear life in my first week. Even though we went out to a big lake, Mead, almost every weekend during the summer while I was growing up, it took me years to be able to slalom ski. Everyone else in my extended family seemed to pick it up immediately. Just stand up. No, wait, just let the rope pull you up. But also stand up. But not too fast, because the rope should pull you up. However, once you get it, you get it. Making a timetable and following it to turn my life around. I always thought I can do it the day I decide to. It turned out to be very difficult, and I have a lot of moments when I just turned the old me. Now I know it is not a flick switch but a continuous process, and one is supposed to take many small steps. I applaud you for setting goals. Keep your eyes on the prize. Try to keep your eyes on the horizon. They say you should set 1 year, 5 year, and 10-year goals. Make a habit of checking your progress weekly, monthly, yearly. Break every big job down into small jobs and tackle the small jobs one at a time. Of course, this advice is for me, too. Stand-up comedy. Hundreds of people silently staring, expecting you to continuously make them laugh for 10 to 60 minutes? That doesn't sound like something that looks easy. I was just telling my wife I had a set. 5 minutes later I got maybe a couple chuckles and maybe one good laugh. I think they were pity chuckles and laughs. Name 10 stand-up comedians. Go ahead. There's a reason only a handful of people make it to the big time, and the rest are just scratching out a living in local comedy clubs. I watch a lot of stand-up comedy on YouTube. So that's not really a fair question lol, but my stand-up set was terrible. I thought, I'll just tell the same stories that I tell at parties, and it'll be great. Couldn't have been further from the truth. It didn't help that it was an open mic night with other amateur comics that weren't really paying attention. But still. It was rough. Never again. I'll stick to being party funny. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more Reddit content like this, please subscribe and like this video. I guess I will see you in the next one.